Good afternoon. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today for such an important cause. I'm grateful to see so many people here today united to end violence against women. Advocacy from community members like you, groups like Zonta, our local Domestic Violence Service Center, as well as partnerships among various levels of government, is critical to raising awareness about violence, and domestic violence in particular, and putting a stop to it in our communities. Domestic violence has a wide-reaching impact, and nearly everyone knows a victim. 1 in 3 women experience physical, sexual, and stalking abuse from an intimate partner each year in Pennsylvania. 1 in 3. In 2023 alone, 119 victims lost their lives to domestic violence in Pennsylvania. 54% of these victims were killed by a current or former partner, a person who is supposed to love and protect them. There's also an alarming correlation between domestic violence and pregnancy, and 20% of women experience abuse during pregnancy, and homicide is the #1 cause of death among pregnant women in the United States. This is unacceptable. These disturbing facts are our call to action. We must do more to prevent violence, uplift victims, and share resources for those who are recovering. Acknowledging the prevalence of domestic violence offers a vital opportunity to promote resources and support systems for victims. As domestic violence commonly lurks in the shadows and largely remains hidden, public awareness can empower victims by validating their experiences and encouraging them to report acts of domestic violence to law enforcement before that violence escalates. And it's so wonderful to have law enforcement partners here from the 87th District in Silver Spring Township. Chief, thank you for being here today as a symbol to show victims that law enforcement can help you in these situations. Law enforcement and the judicial system do play key roles in protecting victims. In fact, it's one of the #1 pillars of our society, and something that as legislators, it's incumbent upon us to protect the most vulnerable in our society. One of these tools is PFA orders. Those who perpetrate violence toward women must be held accountable, and PFAs can help make sure that happens. But there must be consequences for violating a PFA, or they lose their power to shield victims from their abusers. I'm honored to join my colleagues here today in co-sponsoring legislation to do just that through the Domestic Violence Task Force here to be able to increase penalties for PFAs, as well as through the Address Confidentiality Program, and working to ensure that victims can achieve their American dream of owning a home in their own communities without having to move out of state or out of town to flee from their abuser. It's time that we say today the abuser should be the one fleeing, not the victim. I will continue to be a voice for victims, to stand up for violence against women. Victims are counting on us for support. They're counting on 203 legislators in the House who have the power to make a difference, 50 senators here in Harrisburg who have the power to make a difference if we stand up and if we say enough is enough. It is long past time, it is long past due to give these victims the support they so desperately need. The time is now. We have the power to do something about it. As we start the next legislative session in January, I hope our House leadership and our Senate leadership will recognize the importance of standing up to violence against women. I thank you for your advocacy, and I ask you to come back here every single year, to come back, to contact your legislators, to be in their ears about getting bills scheduled on the floor for a vote. These aren't just empty talking points that we can afford to come and say at a press conference. We need action. We need you in the communities to stand up. We need each of these nonprofit partners, law enforcement, local nonprofits here today to be able to stand up and say enough is enough. If we don't stand up for victims, no one will. Our job is to stand up for those who can't stand up for themselves. Our society will be judged by our ability to do this. I believe together we can be a strong voice for women to protect their rights and to end domestic violence. Together we send the message that we will not tolerate domestic violence, against our friends, neighbors, family, and community members. I'm honored to have the opportunity to say a few words here today, and I thank you for your advocacy on this important issue.